Welcome to my um, research seminar, which now turned into an online presentation that will be posted on YouTube on my research part, a module of my of the PGCE I completed this year. We were asked to do a research study, and although I have interest in quite a few areas that I've transferred from coaching to teaching, this seemed like a great option to look into gamification in a teaching environment. I know that there's quite a lot of research and use of it within sport coaching, and I've used it myself. And as I had the opportunity to do my own research proposal or research project, I thought, having a look at whether I can put something I love in coaching, which is gamification, into education and teaching based environments is something I wanted to explore. So this is the finding. Just to sort of set the scene, I've just completed a PGCE in FE, so 16 plus. I've been rugby coach previously. This research proposal is before we got to this stage of doing it, I had to go through the ethics board, and it all be above board that what I was going to do was appropriate. I had to get permission from the students. All the research I found in this study is my own. It is mine. There's a lot of resources. There's a lot of theories out there. A lot of references. Many more than I managed to put within this particular presentation, and also in the research proposal. There was a 1,000-word research or literature review, which I can share as well if someone would like to read that. And again, there's loads out there, and I've just connected the bits that stand out to me that are important for my particular research proposal. So hopefully, I did mention that I'm going to post it online for people to see. Hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully you find it interesting. Look forward to any conversations that come out of people spending the time to watch it. Here we go. So the first question I asked was, what do you like most about computer games? Although I can't remember all the answers, the main thing for me, what I like about computer games is mainly online, playing with other people, playing with my friends. So it's a social element. The challenges, I love challenges. I'm big into sort of Call of Duty, and actually a big thing for me is all the challenges to unlock different camouflages for guns. You have to do so many challenges to do that, so I quite like that challenge for myself. And it's just fun. It sort of switches you off. There's always little things to do. I think that's what I like most about video games. I think if I think about coaching, when it's challenging, when players are challenged, when they're having fun, that's when we get the best out of it as players and coaches. So to me, there is somewhere there where it can be transferred. Can it be transferred? That's the question. Can it be transferred to education? That's what I was trying to find out. So to set the scene, Geef in 2005 proposed video game principles could be applied to teaching and coaching environments, such as pause, replays, saves so you can start where you finish, not going back, level up, things like that. So it's quite important. It's quite those principles. They are the key things. I think of Sonic the Hedgehog, and you get a new level, and you get an extra life, and you can pause it when you want it, save it when you want it, things like that. So those things. Guy believe they could be transferred, and they obviously have been in sport, and how can it be done in education? Collar's insight theory states that creating an environment inclusive of failure and problem solving can lead to successful learning, as students need to explore different outcomes to find success. And I also believe that this is something that gamification principles create. So, create an environment where you're going to make mistakes because, you might get to a level that's a bit too hard, but you've been taught it, or you can be taught it, so you can get there, and it's okay to fail. And actually, a big part of my own teaching and coaching is allowing people to actually make mistakes and fail, because you don't get better if you don't fail. It's a big belief of mine. So, in my experience, gamification as a coaching tool has been very positive. The players I've coached really enjoy it. They love the challenge. They love the fun. They just love getting involved. And you see a picture here of when I was coaching in Antwerp. The guys were using the headbands. They were playing lots of games. They're having lots of fun. And it was a really good environment. And the big question is there a link to gamification having a positive impact on student engagement within a teaching-based environment? So that led me to the question. The question was, does the inclusion of gamification principles in a theory-based environment have a positive impact on student engagement? That is what I was trying to find out. And that is what this research proposal or research project was looking to try and achieve. So the action research, this is where we get a bit academic. The action research model approach I'm going to use is the one designed by Kermis and Taggart. As you see here, it's about plan or reflect, but plan, act, observe. And it's something that I've realised that plan, do, review is what we do in our coaching. It's pretty much the same principle. You plan it, you do it, you review it, you reflect it, you make it better. And the thing with this is a continuous spiral. So just like you should be coaching, it's continuously planning it, reviewing it, planning it, doing it, reviewing it. What can we do better? Make it better. And actually, one thing this particular project taught me that I take back to my coaching is not to change. I've been very guilty before of needing to do something different every session. You play a game and actually just play the game, make it better. Just play it, review it, play the same game the next session, but make it better, make some changes that can improve the players. And it's actually having nothing to do with sports coaching. It made me look at my own coaching and thought, oh yeah, I need to change that. So throughout the action research, I continuously use all the aspects of the action research spiral, consider ways to improve my teaching, and as I already mentioned, my coaching, and how I can make positive changes to ensure that the learning environment is maximised for the students. It's a continuous, never-ending cycle of reflection, which this relates to professional standards, which I have to mention as part of this seminar, which is maintain update knowledge on educational research to develop evidence-based research. So this is what this particular cycle approach is doing. So my methodology, that's a big word. So the original plan was to do 4-week research projects, but due to assessment, due to lockdown, due to the fact that we had a lot of pressure to do assessments in a short period of time, I had to condense it to 2 weeks. That's not ideal, but it is what it was, and I had to make it so I could get enough information within two sessions that would make it valid to an extent, reliable to an extent. Worth also mentioning with that is this is only a small project. We only had 9 participants in the class I used, so it is very small. It's very niche, but it can be used. It can be used to give sort of a framework and a start for a bigger research project. The project consisted of taking part in gamification tasks. Now I used anatomy and physiology as a subject. I thought because the first session, I think we'll come on to it in a sec. Actually, the first session I used the muscles and then the bones, I think I'll come on to it in a sec. So I'll come on to it. So then after that, they had to complete a questionnaire regarding their experiences and the perceived impact on engagement. So again, it's their perceived impact. It is giving me some data that I can use as a result, but it is, at the end of the day, it's how they perceive their experiences. And although I say at the end of the day it is about that, to me, teaching is all about how the student experience. So if they're enjoying it and they think they're getting something out of it, then that's actually a big tick to me. So yeah, here we go then. Week 1 was the identification of the bones. We were recalling previous taught knowledge, so I taught them the week before. I think it was online about the bones, and it was just identifying the bones. And their levels for points awarded. So what we had to do, I remember very well, is we had all the bones lined up for marked up without the name. If they picked a number, so they picked whatever number it was, if they guessed it without any clues, they would get 3 points. If they needed 1 clue, which was level 2, they might say, "Oh, can I have the first letter?" Then they got it right, they got 2 points. If they wanted to go level 3, they got the first and last letter, and then they only got 1 point. So that was how we did it. After the first questionnaire, some of the questions about their if they enjoyed it and did they enjoy the point scoring. 86% believe that gamification had a positive impact on their learning and enjoyed the challenge of earning more points for more difficult aspects of the task. So that's quite a good percentage. 82%, bear in mind there are only 9 people in there, that's still, to me, quite 82%, quite a high record, felt they paid more attention to the subject being learned. Now, these guys didn't have any names on the questionnaires. They weren't going to get told off if they didn't enjoy it. There was no repercussion. It was all anonymous, so they could have said whatever they wanted, and that's what they sort of said. And there was a positive reaction to gamification in terms of engagement and enjoyment. I observed that there was a lot of fun. I had them in two teams of 2. I think there were 3 or 4 teams in there, and they were having a really really good laugh, chatting to each other, trying to work out the answers. There's a lot of problem solving going on. A lot of challenges going on, a lot of frustration when they got the answers wrong. So it was really good environment. So the second week went a bit harder this time. So I thought the first week was quite successful. Right, so now we're going to go on to something new. Identification of the muscles, completely new topic, not been taught before. It was about to be taught, but we hadn't taught it. And I added in a couple of what would we say gamification sort of aspects. So they're allowed passes. If they didn't know an answer, they could pass it on to someone else, or a referral. So they could refer the answer to another team. If the other team got it right, they got a point. If they got it wrong, you got the point. Okay. So basically, you start making some decision making. You start making, see if they might know it and they might not know it and we'll get a point, or they might not know it. So if they know it, we don't want to give them the answer, the choice to get more points. So let's start making some decisions and being a bit more strategic about things. Just before I go on to it, it was quite an interesting task. It was very detailed. It's level 3 anatomy on muscles. There was a lot on there that these guys had never done before. And so it was a bit of a challenge for them. Due to the positive responses, so I decided to try on an area that's not been taught, which is enabling learners to share responsibility for their own learning, assessment goals. So they get to share their own, they get to stretch themselves, they get to push, they get to check their own understanding in a safe environment. So 92%, which is up from 6, believe that had a positive effect on their learning. 92%, which is up by 10. Students felt that they were more engaged, which to me is really really positive. Even though it was a new topic, they struggled with it at times. They actually felt they were more into it and more engaged, and I think that's a really positive outcome. Just to put it in a couple of graphs here, I asked them some additional questions to not just a scale of 1 to 5 or how you feel or whatever. I asked them what they liked most about this particular game and what they liked least. Now, on the whole, they like the teamwork. They like the points for the correct answers. They like the passes and referrals. They love the competition and they like learning new stuff. So on a broad basis, it was quite a good experience for them. When I asked them what they liked the least, even though they said they liked learning new stuff, they liked the fact that they didn't know the information. So my conclusion from that is they need to learn a bit before doing the quiz, which is fine. So we've already proved that it could be a good starter activity, and I've now proved it could be a recall end of lesson activity, because they do enjoy it. They clearly enjoy it. They love the game aspect of it, but they need to know the information to make it more fun, more enjoyable, things like that. Which, in a way, I agree with, but also in a way, when you're playing a computer game, you don't know what you're doing to start with, so you learn as you go. So, it works both ways. It's good to take that feedback on board. But yeah, it's good to see what they like and what they don't like. So my conclusions: creating a fun environment leads to more student engagement, similar to that in coaching. Simple as that. You create fun. You have some fun. You have some student interactive activities, and you know students are more engaged. They're Some students don't want to be there. I think we'd all agree in education, students don't necessarily want to be there, but if they're going into lessons, they know that it's going to be fun and they're going to be switched on and they're going to have a good time. They're more likely to engage, more likely to learn. Um, Although it's a small study, um, I believe the gamification principles can be used to have a positive impact on engaging students in a theory-based environment. Um, However, it needs to involve taught information. As I've said, therefore, it's ideal for a starter to recall um, previous learning or assessment for learning during or at the end of a lesson. Again, this matches up with Pershaw Standard 18, which is applying appropriate and fair methods of assessment and provide constructive and timely feedback to support progress and achievement. Because if students will get feedback straight away, whether they're right or wrong, and actually that's what they need. There's no point getting something wrong and not knowing about it for weeks if you've forgotten about it. If you know there and then what the right answer is, you got it wrong. All right, okay, then they're more likely to remember it, I think. The link back to lit review. Again, Collins' insight theory. I mentioned it earlier about creating environments inclusive of failure and problem solving. So this certainly this second scenario, second week, created failure, created problem solving because we had questions they weren't going to know. Most of all, they weren't going to know the answers to. We had a situation where they had to decide who they were going to refer or pass or whatever they're going to do. So they had problems to solve, and it was actually although they said about not knowing the information, I observed a more fun environment. Again, Piaget's social learning theory places importance on teachers creating an interactive classroom. So it's massively important that for students to learn that they need to be interactive. I've already mentioned if they're not interactive, if they're not doing stuff, they're simply not going to learn. No one wants. I mean, I think we all could agree. No one wants to go and sit in a classroom for 2 hours and just sit there and write and just watch, listen to someone's voice, because it's boring. It is boring. It's not fun. You don't get anything out of it. You want to learn. You learn by doing. So being interactive and learning through activity and interactive. And that interactive could be just questions and discussion. It could be through a task like gamification. It could be through playing different games. It could be through research, but it's got to be interactive for students to learn, I believe. And these gamification tasks created an environment which included, you know, these, problem solving, failure, and interactiveness. It's what I created. So the results, I believe, support the theory that creating these environments would seem to have a positive impact on students. The issues, as I mentioned, I went a bit wrong there. It's important not to let my personal bias towards gamification influence the study, yeah, I love gamification. It was easy to actually not let my personal bias impact it because I wanted to sort of prove my own point. But it still had to be at the back of my mind. The focus groups I've mentioned were quite small, so ideally it needs to be something bigger. The initial 4-week project turned into 2, and although they didn't devalue the finding, this is just a snapshot. This is just my small finding. So therefore, wider research is needed, such as bigger sample groups to be studied across a number of range of subjects, longer period of time with a variety of activities which can be devised through feedback. So what have I learned? As me as an individual, the importance of reflection of the teacher and a coach, and that the action research spiral is a never-ending journey which I'm continuously on. Experiences from coaching can be connected to teaching, and actually that is really prominent in Doug Lamoff's book, The Coach's Guide to Teaching, where I truly believe coaches can learn from teachers and teachers can learn from coaches. The teaching tools I've enhanced is exploration, not being afraid to try something new, which might be different from the norm. I think it's important that we're always changing, always trying to look for new things. And collaboration, the importance of teamwork amongst students to work together, sharing ideas and outcomes with other colleagues within departments. I think I shared this with my cohort of my PGCE. I shared it with my other teachers in my department, and I'm obviously sharing it with you guys online because I think it's important that we share these ideas and we try things. So using the gamification principles, if I had a replay, if I had a chance to do it again, bigger focus group, get more in-depth feedback, more time. Although time is uncontrollable, um, a term would have been a good period of time. Produce different tasks, less pressure on me to do every week, and really look at the feedback and actually, right, how can we make it better? And I'd ask opinion-based feedback from week 1 instead of week 2 to find out what they enjoy do straight away, to find out what they like straight away, then we can put it in the game, what they don't like straight away. Now, it doesn't mean you take out what they don't like, but you might try and explore why they don't like it. But definitely you want to find out what they enjoy, and I'd be wanting to find that out again if I'm coaching or teaching. Say, well, how do you like learning? What do you like the most? Fast forward. So again, gamification principle coming in there. I think there needs to be more exploration into the gamification within different lessons. Use the feedback from students to continually develop through the action research spiral. Maybe a new card that I think someone said to me was have more time to answer. So I did put it in a different type after the project. I actually did it in another class. I put in a pause, and if they didn't know the answer, I put a time limit on of 30 seconds. If they didn't know the answer, if they didn't need more time, they could say, "Can I have a pause?" They get an extra 30 seconds. Could it be edited in as an extra time card? Can that be negotiated by them? And encourage students to become more self-determined. It's a big thing for me as pedagogy, and share knowledge through. Let them design their own games. We might teach them the principles, then actually say, "Oh, design your own game around a certain topic," because then they get a lot of ownership over it. They're more likely to. They can come out with some crazy stuff, some really cool stuff that I've not even thought of, and I think students, youngsters' minds need to be opened up more and let them sort of explore. Like I said, when you get to a certain age, you're sort of set in a certain way, and students come with different attitudes, different approaches, and it can be mind blowing what they come out with. And develop the research project further to explore which gamification principles are more effective. Those are a few of my references. So thank you for watching. If you watched it, it's just like it's just a snapshot of my research proposal. Really enjoyed it. It was an absolutely awesome experience, and hopefully get to hear from you soon. Thank you.